Welcome to The Gorgeous Effect. I'm Julie Chanel, and with my co-founder, Cathy Olson, we're about to drop some serious tea on how to create funnels that not only look amazing, but actually convert into customers. It's time to show the world what you've got. Let's do this. Hey everyone, welcome back to The Gorgeous Effect. I'm Julie, and I'm here with Cathy, and today we're talking about how to lose less leads, right? And I am going to kick off this conversation by saying that most people think they don't have enough leads. And while that could be true, I think it's actually that people are lead blind. They don't recognize leads when they're there, and then they're losing leads. Both of those things. I want to make sure we talk about lead blindness and lost leads because I think it's two sides of the same coin.
Yes, la 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 la, all the las. I don't know. It's crazy to me. Like I think because you talked about this at DI, and so about finding people, like just kind of like not like scrounging up all of the leads, but I guess even seeing the opportunities around you. But then when you have the opportunities, they're kind of falling through the cracks, right? Like someone is there and they're asking a question and you're just kind of giving the bare minimum because you're busy or whatever, or you don't have a system. But man, it happens a lot. I mean, it's happened to me. I messaged a few people of like, hey, I want to know more about this thing that you have. And they just wouldn't respond to me. And I'm like, why are they not responding? Like, I had to track them down. I was like on Instagram, on email, and they were like, and I was just like, well, if it's this hard to even talk to you, maybe you're not a good fit. Even though I
Yeah.
was pretty sure, like, they had gone through great lengths to get me, as a interested. But then it was just little stuff that they, the touch points that were missing.
Well, I think that part of the reason why people lose leads is because they don't have a system. But I also think it's because they don't recognize the leads when they're coming in. That's that lead blindness. This is my question to folks. If you pretended that every single conversation you had online, on social media, in DMs, in email, was a potential lead to be a customer or lead to be a collaborator or lead to be a champion of you. How many leads do you have? You would have a lot. But I don't think we see it that way because we're like, oh, they just said something nice about my dog in DMs, or oh, they emailed me, they responded to my email saying, oh, that was a great email or whatever. And so because people aren't actively raising their hand saying, hey, I'm going to, you know, ask you more about your services, we don't think of them as leads. And I had a big aha moment about this because I taught people how to build a sales ritual in Claude so that it would help you not lose your leads. And when you ask an AI bot to look at, your social media or your email, it's going to say, "Oh, that's a lead." And I remember thinking, "Oh my gosh, I don't think of that person as a lead." And that's when I realized I'm lead blind as much as I am losing leads.
100%. I think that, well, and also I think it really comes down to not loving sales, like, and not wanting to feel
Mm.
salesy, right? Because I was thinking about that, what you were just saying. If someone, because people DM me all the time and they say stuff, and I'm just like, oh, they're just being friendly, but I also don't want to be like, hey, would you like a new
Buy my
funnel?
stuff.
Like, I'm like, they just said something nice about my dog, and now I'm like selling them hard. So it's probably a little bit of that, of the blindness, but also of like, how do you even start a sales conversation from, hey, your dog is so cute?
Well, that's a great question. Well, so if we talk about people who don't like sales and we look at the sales process, let's say you get someone who has raised their hand, said they want to work with you, booked a discovery call, and you're on the phone. If you cannot close a sale right then and there, or you feel awkward, you got a lot of work to do because that person has come 90% of the way and you have the last 10%. And then if you look at like the idea of lead flow and you have someone DMing you on Instagram about how cute your dog is, they have come 5% and you've got 95% of the work to do to get them over to that point. And not everyone is going to be a customer, right? Part of the sales process is to eliminate people who are not customer ready or people that maybe would be collaborators. And if you don't like sales and you don't even like doing 10%, you can see why people don't want to do the 95%.
Yeah. And I think it's even recognizing, like you said, recognizing that they're a lead, but it is a little bit of both. And even, it's not always DMs for you, but even like a comment on something that you posted or
Yes.
comment on something someone else posted, and you're like, I could actually really help this person, but how the heck do I bridge this, right? And then I think there also is even sometimes when you do have leads there's time blindness as well because
Mhm.
I will email somebody and it's like 2 days later and I think they don't think it's 2 days later. Like I think, like I
Yeah.
like because if they don't have a system, right? And I'm like still waiting, but then they get back on and they're just doing so much and they're busy and they're running their business and whatever. And they're like, oh my gosh, 2 days has gone by. Like, how did that even happen? And they think that they just answered me, And I'm like, but again, if they had that system that was like, hey, Kathy's in your inbox, she's ready to go, like just something to remind them, "Hey, it's actually been 24 hours. And you're like, oh my gosh, I thought I just responded, right? So there's different levels, I think of that. What is your advice when someone is whatever percent they're at? Like I guess what is the different advice for the different percentages of how close they are to being a lead?
Well, I would say the first thing is that you need sales training if you hate sales. And that means sales training so you can learn how to just handle when somebody's on a sales call, right? You can go that 10%. So a program like our course, Easiest Yes, is like a no-brainer because it's going to help you in those states, but it's also going to help you a little bit further down the path. Like maybe someone's in the DMs and they're asking you about your program. So now you're like kind of they're 50% of the way there. You got to get them 50. I think for the for the people though that are really don't like that bridge moment when you go from like just knowing somebody to actually seeing if they're a lead. I think it's helpful to have something like Claude or some sort of AI sort of spot those opportunities for you because you won't see them. And if Claude's going through your inbox, for example, and sees that someone replied to one of your emails and you just ignored it, and it's like, "Hey, that could be a lead right there." Then it'll at least give you the vision to say, "Oh, that's an opportunity that I might have missed or I've left on the table." And then it allows you to activate that because Claude will usually give you an idea of like how you can activate it, or you can go look that person up. But you need someone to point it out, I think, is the point. If you're really bad, you need someone to point out, hey, that's a possible lead right there.
Yeah, it also made me think of how Lindsay has said in the past that when you were selling her, she didn't even know if you were selling her,
Hmm.
So there's also that really cool muscle, I guess, that you build of just building rapport with people and just being nice to people and just kind of and almost just genuinely wanting to help, whether they're going to work with you or not. I think that's a good mindset to have of just actually being, doing your best to just be nice and be a human and actually help people in the DMs or in your comments or like anywhere, or even on Facebook group or just like wherever you're going. Just genuinely trying to be helpful. I mean, this is how you and I met.
Yes, it is. I
It's
know. I know.
like it's like the ultimate success story for being nice to people online with no guarantee in return, and not to say that, you let people take advantage of you. Of course you pay attention to that, but yeah, I mean that was one of the biggest
Well,
game changers.
it's so funny because I was doing some Facebook group prospecting, meaning I just show up in Facebook groups, I comment on things, I try to be helpful. And last week's podcast episode or a couple weeks ago or whenever it was about the guy who like took advantage, like that's an example of someone who like that was a lead I didn't want. But there was this other young guy who I answered his post and he was super like happy about it. We went back and forth in a few comments and then I just left it alone. But I noticed the next day he friend requested me and or no, he didn't friend request me. He followed me like because I have my follow button up. And now I notice that he's starting to like my posts. When I post, I see his name pop up almost all the time. And that is an example of like, I mean, this is not like, oh, you're going to go make $5,000 from someone tomorrow. But this guy had no idea who I was, liked my response in the group. I gave him some time. He's now following me. He's now liking my posts. There is a possibility that some point in the future, when I make an offer, he's going to buy it. And there's the system right there. It's just very organic. And if you're not used to seeing that, you will think that commenting in Facebook groups is a waste of time. You'll think that DMing people is a waste of time, and it's because you're not paying attention to how relationships and trust actually get formed and built over time.
100%. Yeah, I think it's look at your AI and sheep too. Like you just post all the time on Facebook and give lots of value for no re not for no reason,
Yeah, I
obviously.
mean, I
But
just show up and be myself. But
yeah,
yes,
yeah, yeah. But I mean, but then you just go, hey, would anyone be interested in like learning about AI and petting and like having a petting zoo, get some sheep, and then you're like, oop, whoops, it's sold out. Okay, here's another one. Oops, whoops, that's sold out. I mean, it's like that is a total case study for that because you basically sold it, I feel like through Facebook, right?
Yeah,
And
I
we,
mean, I did one email and I did two emails and I did a couple of Facebook posts, maybe two posts or three
yeah,
posts.
yeah,
But that was it. I had no sales page. I literally took a calendar and plopped it on a page that was empty with dates, and you could just book your spot and pay your deposit. So it was primarily the Facebook post and the email were the exact
yeah,
same copy. And yeah, I think that's an example of like, I mean, it's not fast lead generation by any stretch of the imagination, but
right.
it's very organic. So if you're the kind of person that really hates selling, you're going to have to learn a little bit. You're going to just have to suck it up a little bit, but there's also a real organic way to nurture relationships without feeling like you're always asking people for things. And I think
Yeah,
I've learned, I've nailed that type of sales for sure.
yeah. It made me think of when we did the Funnel Gorgeous retreat, same
Hmm.
thing. We said, "Hey, would anybody be interested in this?" And then all of a sudden, like by the time people saw it, it was gone. And I'm like, "We're like, sorry, you got to be quicker when we talk about an offer like that." Which is interesting because they're both in person stuff. So like, I don't,
Yeah, I mean, in-person stuff is definitely scarce and
very scarce.
valuable
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah,
But going back to how to not lose leads. Okay, so we've established that one of the ways to not lose leads is to recognize that they are leads, right? It's like the lead blindness. But the second way is how are you organizing your data and your tools that you're using? Because it's really hard to keep track sometimes when you've got Instagram DMs, LinkedIn DMs, Messenger DMs, emails, people coming through your contact form, comments in groups, comments on Instagram. I mean, there's just leads everywhere if you start to think about it like that. And you do need some sort of organization in order to keep track of all of those relationships.
yeah. When we at DI, Julie walked us through setting up the daily sales ritual in Claude in Cowork, and I don't even do sales because I don't do like I don't do like client stuff, right? But I was like, I don't think this is gonna like work for me, or I don't even know I'm gonna need this. But I set it up anyways, and it did find opportunities. I mean, just as simple as going into the Funnel Gorgeous, IG DMs and the
Yep.
the Facebook ones, and there were so many people in there that we were not like even we have yeah. That's I was like, we don't get enough to have the customer support go in there. So, but I don't have a ritual of going in. I just check it like maybe once a week and then I'll go like, oh, there's people in there that have questions or whatever. But I've been doing it every day mostly. And
Hmm.
now we have FG Society, like going into FG Society and doing it every day, right? Like checking in stuff. So I even thought there was nothing I could do for daily sales rituals, but it totally found stuff. And again, it does remind me every morning, kind of like I see that and I was like, oh yeah, I'll go. And it takes 10 seconds. Like it's like not even a minute of going in there and checking stuff. I mean, for me, because there's not a lot. But yeah, so even if you don't think that you have places to go, there are places to go. There are people to talk to. There are people to follow up with. There are places to check. And yes, you do need a reminder every single day to go do it, or else you won't do it. So like 100% that system was such a good idea, and I love how that works.
Yeah. Well, okay, so here's a fun fact. This is a little techie fact, but we are developing an MCP connection with FG Funnels and Claude. And if you don't understand what that means, it just means that Claude and FG Funnels will be able to talk to each other. And Claude's like, the AI agent that's like the hottest right now. But with this MCP connection, it will talk to any agent that connects via MCP. Here's the hack. Inside of FG Funnels, you have a conversations tab and you can connect to Instagram and you can connect to Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp and a couple others. If you do that, Claude can now see your inboxes and you can set up a ritual where every day Claude can look through all of those inboxes, including your Gmail inbox, and be able to spot where there are leads. And not only can it do that, but it can then go out and do research on those leads to see if there's any public information available. And just doing that and taking, like you said, 20 minutes or 30 minutes to just follow up. You don't have to have a giant complex Airtable. Like that will never work for me. I'm just not that kind of person because there's the reactive sales and then there's the proactive. If you do the proactive, you're going to have people coming into your inbox. You're going to have the reactive. You're going to have people finally raising their hands. You just have to respond to that. But if you stop getting anybody raising their hands and coming to you, it's because you haven't gone and stirred up the waters. And that's how AI can really help.
Yeah, I was trying to get it to go into like the Meta business manager that has the inboxes
Mhm.
and stuff, but it wasn't allowed. It was like I can't get in. It was like I'm trying. It was even trying to use my computer to get in and read those, and it couldn't. So I'm excited about having that connection of that because that's been. Yeah, I felt bad about that because sometimes there are people in there, and a lot of times I will be like, "Can you just email us? Like, you need to go on the proper channel, so you can
Yeah.
be helped." I feel really bad, but so that will be nice to have that connection of in one place and have, Claude be able to read it all. Because as of right now, it wasn't able to. I tried, but at least it was reminding me. So very lo-fi, it was telling
Yeah.
me, hey, go check it. And so I was checking it and it wasn't taking that long, but it would be lovely to have that
Yeah,
automated.
so it'll be able to look. And the other thing is if you know, okay, Claude is in my email, right? I have really good email. So if email is a good communication channel, you've got it dialed in. Then your job when you're in comments and in DMs and on social media, your job isn't to sell somebody. Your job is to just get over to an email conversation. Because then, so like I have someone in my DMs yesterday who messaged me and said, you were recommended by so and so. I'm curious about what you do. I could sit there and I could start DMing her and I could do this whole conversation in there, and plenty of people do. But I know for me, if I can get it in email, it's going to get tracked and so I said, I would love to chat with you. Can you give me your email address? Let's go. I'm going to send you an email and then we can book a call. So my job isn't necessarily to close the deal in the DMs. My job is to scoop up all of that social,
Yeah,
social like activity and put it in my inbox.
that's really smart. I love that. Like, go to where you know you will follow up and where
Yeah,
you
and
don't
where
have to.
Claude can pay attention and where
Yeah,
you have systems. The other
yeah,
thing is like
super
FG
smart.
funnels, like certain people like have pipelines. Get it into your pipeline so that you can
Yeah.
see where they are and then you won't lose it.
Yeah, I love it. I just have a system, be organized about it, and make sure that you're have something that's reminding you to do it, and also seeing the opportunities. I think this is awesome ways to like really make the best use of everything that you're getting, but also finding new ones.
Yeah, and consistency beats perfection every time. Like even
Mhm.
if you don't have a perfect system, if you just spend 15, 20, 30 minutes a day, and I told a group of mentors that I was training the other day, I said, if you do this, if you leave 50 comments a day for 30 days in Facebook groups, you will have a completely different arena that you're dealing with on your Facebook account. But most of you won't do it.
Yeah.
And it's like how much do you want business? That's always the question I ask.
I know, because yeah, pick your hard, because it's really not that hard. I mean, it's annoying, but it's not that hard to do. So if you want business, do this. I
It's
always,
way harder fighting a credit card company when you're in debt than
oh
it
my
is to
gosh.
leave comments on Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting how sometimes, and this is probably a whole other podcast so we could like launch off of this, but sometimes the one thing you're like not doing or that you're holding off on doing is the thing.
Hmm.
It's like it's the thing that's holding you back. It's the one thing that you've been like, oh yeah, but I don't want to do that thing. Like or there's this one thing you're like holding out on, and you're like, I don't know what I should do. What's the one thing? And it's like it's that one thing that you're not willing to do. It's
The
like
one thing you're not willing to do is, yeah. And
is the
it's
unlock.
funny because Claude sends me a daily sales ritual Monday through Friday, and it's checking multiple things. Well, I have not done one of those things all week because I have been teaching this class and it takes me so much prep time and then it's an hour and then I have to upload it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But every day it's like this has been 3 days you haven't done this. If there are no fish coming, it's because you're not fishing. You haven't hooked your line. It's basically like just not scolding me, but just saying if your pipeline dries up, it's not my fault because you're not
Yeah.
doing what you said you were going to do. And I thought
Just warning you ahead of time.
and so I'm
This
like
is
writing back. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I did this and I did this. And it's like, doesn't matter. I'm like, fine.
I love that. I love this kicking you on the butt about like this. Remember we talked about this. Remember you wanted this.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right, guys. Well, if you want to hear us chat about a topic, let us know. DM us on Funnel Gorgeous, and Cathy promises she'll respond. Thank you as always. And if you love this podcast, please leave a review, and we'll talk to you soon.
Hey, gorgeous. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. And if you're thinking, okay, but what now? We've got you. So just for listening today, we want to give you a gift. Head over to learngorgeous.com. We're going to grab some free resources, free trainings, this month's specials, and everything you need to keep going. Until next time, make it gorgeous.